Really a few more minutes. Margaret told me to talk fast, and so she must have a lot to say, so I'm just going to be brief. I'll try to be brief. I'm never brief. Anybody that knows me knows I love to talk. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Karen Mosley. I'm fairly new living at the lake, but I've been here, it feels like my whole life. My parents have been here for over 30 years and have been a big part of the community. And, on a personal note, for those that don't know, my parents are Linda and Randall McCraw, and I just want to thank y'all so much for just the hospitality, as that's what we're talking about tonight, and just the love that the church and the community have shown my parents over the years, and especially since the death of my father. So thank y'all really I'm touched every day. Okay, now let me get off of that while I can still talk. I am with the Domestic Abuse Family Shelter. We have definitely outgrown our name over the years. This is our 43rd year in business. I would love to say that I don't see us being in business much longer, but unfortunately that's not the case. But really, if you hear most people talk about us, you'll hear us on TV, you'll hear other things, you'll hear us known as DAFs, just the acronym for DAFS. And so we're trying to kind of transition over to a new name, rebrand. So if you hear that, that is what it's all about. And what we basically do, we serve 11 counties in the Pine Belt region. We have 11 counties. I want you to think about that. 11 counties is huge. We have a big area. We don't have a huge staff, but we do have a shelter that we house people in Hattiesburg. We had 2 shelters, and during COVID, we ended up and funding issues, we had to close our shelter in Laurel. It had some foundational issues, and it was just it wasn't costly. We couldn't keep it open. So just to tell you what we do, just to give you a brief synopsis, is we provide a home for people that don't have it, basically. Emergency shelter is what we do. We also, while you're in the shelter, everything is free. We house men, women, children, and we're one of the only shelters around that allow people to bring their pets with them. They can actually, we had, about 5 years ago, we had Purina, Greater Good, several grants that we wrote came together and made our shelter pet friendly. So we have kennels, we have dog foods, we got cat rooms, we have all kinds of things. Praise Jesus, we hadn't had anybody want to bring a snake or anything like that yet, but we have had one lady that brought a horse. And so we also partner with other agencies and they housed our horse while this lady was with us. So, that doesn't sound like a lot, but anybody in this room that has a pet, you know how important our pets are to us. And we found that one of my best friends is actually the director of our shelter. And she said that, when she got there, she kept getting call after call after call and wanted to know, could they bring their pets? And she kept having to say no. We don't allow that. And she said after a while, she started wondering why. Why don't we allow that? So we started to make that happen. So we are pet friendly. I always love to tell people that because everybody that has pets knows. And we also, when you come in, we bring somebody in the shelter. We give them about, a week to get acclimated to be in there. Our shelter, I don't know, how many of you have ever worked in a shelter or been to any kind of shelter? 1 or 2. I'm just going to tell you from my perspective, when this girl kept coming to me, want me to work for her, and all I could think about, all I'd ever seen of a shelter, I thought we were going to walk into a gymnasium and there was going to be cots and things around. That is not the case. Our shelter, we hold 30 people. They are family-style rooms that when we built it, they didn't build it, when they redid it for this purpose, families adopted these rooms, and they came in, they painted, they decorated. They're all family-style rooms, but, we try to house people. If they're single, we try to house them in their own room. Occasionally, we have to double and triple up. It just depends on how many. We allow, families to stay together in their rooms. But, when we tell people, we have people call and want to know, what do you need? Well, we need everything that you would need in a household times 30. It's just, food and garbage bags, pillowcases, all the things. But we also, when somebody comes in, we provide counseling. We have an in-house counselor for adults, and we have one for kids. We also provide case management. Immediately when somebody starts coming in, we start talking to them about, what are your goals? What do you want? Now that you're in a safe environment, what can we do to help you? Because our goal as advocates is to not let one person come in there that leaves there that's not in a better place and a better than they were. So we try to start helping with jobs. We partner with people in that area that we get them jobs within, a few days. The ones that cannot get jobs, they volunteer at other sister agencies. So we do that. We transport people back and forth to work, to doctor's appointments, to whatever they want to do. We're constantly, running kids here and there and everywhere. That's basically what we do. We help people with, of course, domestic violence. You hear that. I don't know how many of you even know what that is. It's a new term, interpersonal violence. Any kind of violence from one individual to another is pretty much domestic violence, unless they're strangers. Also, we take victims of stalking, and in the last 4 years, we are now working with human trafficking victims as well. So it's a lot of stuff. We do a lot of things. One thing I want to just say is, first of all, thank y'all for adopting us as your mission. We are always in need of people to help in different ways, but anytime monetarily or, cleaning supplies is something that we never can get enough of. Another thing that we do is when somebody comes in, we are already planning for them. We're a 90-day shelter. Most people are ready to leave before that. Some we have longer, depending on if goals are being met and things like that. But we try to start making a tote. We have totes all over the place that has dishes, it has pots, it has sheets, it has, towels, all kinds of things that when these people leave, and they do, if we can help them get into housing, we want to set them up for success. So that's another thing that we try to provide. But that's pretty much what we do. I can tell you a few more things. Margaret has got a long thing, so I want her to have plenty of time to speak. I know, but it's not too long. I don't mean that. I just want her to have plenty of time before everybody starts, going to sleep. But I do want everybody to take a minute to look around. There's a lot of women here. And I just want you to think about the fact that 1 in 3 women are victims of some kind of interpersonal violence in their lifetime. That's like, I don't know, let's see, probably 10 to 12 people in this room. That's a staggering number. 1 in 5 men will be victims of some kind of interpersonal violence. That's another thing that we don't know. And something that I want to just, because y'all were pretty passionate about it, I want y'all to look on the back tables. I have brochures. This is a brochure that kind of tells what we do, some of the things we do. This is a crisis card. It's easy. It has both of them have QR codes on them, I think. Yes, they do. A lot of times, a victim can just scan it quickly to get a phone number. If they do that and somebody comes in, they can click off of it, and if somebody looks and tries to track it, it'll say that they're checking the weather. We have lots of safety things, but something I want to mention is the human trafficking side. I know that's a huge hot topic and it sounds scary. It is scary, but it sounds scary. But I want everybody in here, because I know we're all are women, and of course, you know, you've got daughters, you've got granddaughters, you've got grandsons, all these things. You know, everybody, when you think about trafficking, I don't know what comes to your mind. Most people, you know, you think the white vans, and you hear all these tales about people stealing people at Walmart and all these things. That is like tiny, tiny fraction of what really happens. Trafficking in Mississippi, the biggest type is called familia. Does anybody know what that is? Pretty much it's your family. You know, you have a single mom, car breaks down, she can't pay to get it fixed. So she sells her only commodity she has, and it is usually a child. If it's not herself or her, you know, it can be boyfriends, girlfriends, you know, it can be, you know, that's the thing, and it's horrible, horrible to think about. But does anybody want to guess where the country where the biggest demand for this is? Yep, it is here. It is United States. We are the biggest consumer of human trafficking victims in the world. It's just, and somebody did say sporting events. You know, that is one thing my team do. We go all over the United States. We had some that went for Super Bowl. It's called the SOAP Project, if you ever hear it. And we get teams together that put stickers on soap, like that goes in hotels, and makeup wipes. If you ever see those makeup wipes, we put them all around, because sporting of all kinds, Super Bowl, all these regional ball games of any kind, soccer, everything, those are the biggest time for trafficking, because, you know, you have all these people in a small area. So just keep that in mind, that trafficking doesn't always look like you think it looks. It has a different face, and unfortunately, it's a face that most people usually know. So thank y'all again for allowing me to be here. I'm going to come back when I have more time that we can talk, and I can answer some questions for you. But just know there is a resource. That's what we tell people. If everybody in this room, I can guarantee you, if you really thought hard, you could find somebody that you know needs help. And that if you see something, say something. Thank y'all so much.